Welcome to episode 19 of the season 2 of the Dark Match. It's the same number of episodes that we had the first season, which took us like way longer to do to get to this point. How you doing, Matt?
Yeah, doing well. I guess it's a testament and a big shout out to Zencaster for making this significantly easier on us. We've even added video to this shit, and we've already eclipsed what it took us 2.5 years to do before. So this is kind of wild.
Well, we've got a big weekend coming ahead of us, but let's just take a quick look at the week. I actually did watch NXT this week. That was the only thing I watched. But did you watch Raw at all?
I did. Not a whole lot. Obviously, it's Raw. Kofi and Drew McIntyre had a match to determine who Bobby Lashley's Hell in a Cell challenger would be, which ended in Bobby Lashley interfering. Less than 20 minutes of programming later, the match had been remade for next Monday. I expect the exact same outcome, leading to a triple threat at Hell in a Cell, because that's just how this happens on Raw. We kind of it's just one of those things. The only true highlight of Raw from this week was Matt Riddle with no Randy Orton in sight hitting an RKO on Xavier Woods, further solidifying the fact that RK Bro is a go.
Didn't Randy call it sloppy though on Twitter or something?
Well, yeah, I mean, but Randy Orton, if any of you that don't follow Randy Orton on Twitter, it's the only Twitter that you should follow if you're a wrestling fan, because it's awesome. He does not use it to further his character at all. Generally, he just rips on the WWE on Fox Twitter page, just nonstop, just shits on it. So it's probably the best of wrestling Twitter. So you should definitely follow that. It was kind of a sloppy RKO, but I would imagine that's not something that Riddle has done a number of times before.
Yeah.
Especially the out of nowhere element where he didn't have any time to like set up or prep.
Yeah.
Just kind of had to like come up off the mat and go into it. So, but I mean that was Raw. You got Riddle and Xavier Woods had a good one. The Drew and Kofi thing is what it is. Weird thing, AJ Styles was edited out of the Hulu version. Apparently, AJ and Omos had something going on with Elias and whichever forgotten son that is. They just were not on the Hulu cut. So you've got, arguably like top 5 in the world performer is is not even getting on the TV. So that's a little disheartening.
Yeah.
But again, it's Raw. So, well, as somebody who doesn't watch NXT regularly, how'd you feel jumping into just a random weekly episode? You did get a good one.
I did. I mean, what I'm thinking about without kind of consulting any notes, man, like Cameron Grimes really just sticks out, like in a good way, in the best possible way, which makes sense because Trevor Lee on the Indies was like one of my favorite people ever. Like, and I didn't even see him that many times. I just still like what brings it home for me is the time he recovered that crowd at that AEW show in Chicago when Sammy Callahan basically almost got the entire promotion kicked out of that building until the end of time, and he brought the crowd and everyone just back is just still legendary to me. So it makes sense that he's killing it with this storyline, and I'm so glad they brought in the $1 Million Man to really kind of bring it all home. It's a perfect marriage, really. And to bring some uncertainty to it, not just be a given, is kind of great. Like that they're gonna, actually get be together.
Yeah, every element of that $1 Million segment this week may have been the highlight of pro wrestling for the week. I mean, I watched enough Impact when Eli Drake was there to know that LA Knight he can go in the ring, but on the microphone, he is up. He's up there with Trevor Lee. So to use his gimmick that he's got now coming in as kind of like the counter to the almost guaranteed Cameron Grimes DiBiase pairing, I think it threw some new elements in there, which I'm thrilled about. The idea of the two of them getting a match in your house, um, whether it's for or not that the $1 million belt, I imagine it will be. So I loved it. That
Yeah.
was that may have been one of the better pro wrestling things I've seen in a while, outside of Roman Reigns, who is still just straight fucking killing everything. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I
I
mean,
think it's just a brilliant piece of booking, the whole way this has gone down.
it's goofy, but it's like the right kind of goofy for pro wrestling, which is great. I love it. I love all of it. So, um, yeah. Besides that, the matches were great. The match is really solid. That title match was really solid. I kind of just had a feeling going into it that Cross wasn't gonna lose that belt back to Balor so easily, and it seems like Balor's time in NXT is kind of coming to a close. So,
I
um,
I actually I kind of went into it thinking that Balor would get it back because I
mhm.
don't think he wants to leave NXT. I really thought that if one of them was going to, and I hate to say it because one of them's going to end up on Raw, and now it looks like it's Balor who will just get up there, and then he'll be on main event like Ricochet at some point.
Yeah.
Um, I really thought that if I thought Vince might pull the trigger on bringing Cross up, if for nothing else, then he's huge, he's terrifying, and he's got Scarlett with him. Like he's everything that Vince McMahon. He's
A
he's
blonde lady.
essentially the 2020. He's the 2021 version of the Macho Man. Like, um, so it's and I've watched so many of these damn documentaries here lately that the Macho Man's just like at the forefront of him and Shawn Michaels are like I could write a damn biography on either one of them at this point. Um, but I really thought that there was a possibility that that belt went back to Balor so that they could use Cross on Raw. Um, I don't know how well it would have gone, but I did get a little excited thinking about Cross versus Bobby Lashley. Um, and I don't get terribly excited about a lot of things on Raw. So it was already a win-win for me. Um, I do. I desperately hope that if Finn Balor's headed back to the main roster, that Fox pulls some strings and he gets to go to SmackDown. I think the story is already a little more pre-written that
Yeah.
Roman's holding the belt that Finn never lost, as I laid out in my pre WrestleMania um, booking through SummerSlam post. Um, but yeah, another beautiful. I loved seeing the crowd at Capitol Wrestling Center actually behind Karrion Cross this week.
Yeah.
It has been kind of a really slow build for the crowd, but they actually got behind him. Um, and
And
another beautiful women's tag match this week.
yeah. Yeah, I thought matches overall were solid. I don't think there were anything lacking at anything. And I really dig Karrion Cross's entrance. I think it was a little. I watched the Hulu cut, so it was cut a little bit. Like there was no Finn Balor entrance, and it was like half of Karrion Cross's entrance. And maybe they should maybe trim it a little bit, because whatever they showed coming back from commercial, that was the right amount, maybe. But I like the atmosphere of his entrance, and it's a little different
Yeah,
than anyone else.
I think if any, it is a little long, but if anything, it's just that like 15-20 seconds before anything's going on where it's just
Yeah,
like whisper music. It's not even like an
yeah,
actual entrance theme. It's just like fog and whispers. Like cut that out. I mean,
yeah.
it takes Scarlett long enough to like weirdly flop her way to the ring. let's cut out the weird whisper part and at least shave that 20 seconds. 30 years from now, when you're making that entrance at WrestleMania, you can get an Undertaker length entrance, but
Yeah.
until then, let's tame it back a little bit.
Yeah. Or yeah, at least keep those for, why he's on NXT for takeovers. Like do a shorter entrance
Yeah,
for TV.
like the kind of the Aleister Black thing.
Yeah.
Like the entrance was so much longer on takeovers, but I mean that thing set up real quick during an NXT episode. So.
Creak, 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 creak. Oh, when he got to the main roster. The sound effects of him and Ricochet killed me.
It at least they're finally using him on SmackDown. It may be a blatant ripoff of Far Cry 5, but they're at least going for it.
So let's jump to Dynamite. So with it being on Friday this week, I only really just kind of watched some highlights, but it's nothing really changed too much, but it was interesting seeing fans back. The jarring thing for me is the setup at Daly's place when they have a full crowd. After seeing the 2 entrance tunnels, after seeing like the dead on the Tron and stuff, where the hard cam, having just one tunnel and like having people sitting on the stage was very weird. And I just couldn't get over it.
Very. So. And it seemed like the production staff got like zero practice with anything. With the, I assume that on the left might have been a hard camera, but it moved a bit. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, especially during that very first match, it was like somebody was sitting, like somebody's kid was in the production booth, just like tapping camera buttons, like camera 2, camera 4, camera 2, camera 4, camera 7, camera 4. Like it kept switching back and forth. It was giving me a headache. It was like
they invited Kevin Dunn from WWE.
Keep up with anything. Yeah. And what sucks is like, I mean, I know he's predominantly going to spend the rest of his time in AEW probably on Dark, but Cesar Bononi is a huge man and he is very intimidating, but you lose that entirely with all that camera toggling. And it seemed like there was a 12-foot tall cameraman standing on the ring apron because they kept like, it was like aerial shots downward on Bononi, so he looked the same height as Darby Allin half the time. It was really fucking weird to watch because he's like, God, 6'6", 6'7". He's like Drew McIntyre size. Like he is huge. So that was a little weird. I powered through Dynamite right before we started filming this. I learned how to skip commercials on the TNT app. And
You'll never get me this time.
In addition to skipping any segment that has the factory on it, I know which promos I can kind of like power through. It's sort of like watching a WWE pay-per-view after the fact. You just skip all of the recap videos from like the 9 months of Raw that have all been identical. Why are there multiple clips? So it's one of those things, but yeah, it was. I mean, they didn't really. It didn't move the needle at all. I'm sure the ratings weren't great. Even being the one before a pay-per-view, you're on TNT and SmackDown is on Fox. So, I mean, obviously you're going to lose the Friday Night Wars every time. But yeah, I mean, it was straightforward. Nobody really cut a promo that changed the world or anything.
We do. I will. Oh, I will say that the Pinnacle segment with the Inner Circle, those pile drivers on those tables, that was pretty rough. And the one thing that honestly does, go ahead. The one thing that does actually make a difference as far as the card on Sunday is that Orange Cassidy did not accept Omega's offer to sit it out and get a title shot later. So we will have Orange Cassidy on Sunday.
They did. Yeah, those pile drivers were gnarly. So I don't know if somebody's hurt, maybe they need an angle just in case they can't get somebody cleared by Sunday. But The
Yeah.
two things that I will say they did, it was all with promos because nothing else. I mean, the matches didn't really change much. Um, I am I am more excited now for Britt Baker and Sheeta than I was before. Um,
Hmm.
Britt Baker making a Stone Cold Steve Austin reference was pretty top notch. Um, and I honest to God think that Miro Lance Archer is going to steal this show. Um, I didn't necessarily know before, but after watching how they built that in just the couple of minutes they were given to do it, I'm beyond thrilled for this match.
Yeah.
It really does have the potential to be the big one on this card. But like they said, the TNT Championship is kind of, it's not their top of the card championship, but it really is their flagship. It's where they want to put the show. So I think they've got the right two guys going to the ring this time.
Let's go through the card real quick. We have Serena Deeb versus oh man, who was it? Oh, it's
Riho.
Riho. So that's on the pre-show. I think that's gonna be a fantastic match. Just because Serena Deeb's on it, it's gonna be great. After her match with Red Velvet, it was fantastic. Do we know if that's an NWA title shot?
Yes, it is an NWA Women's World Championship match. Um, so it kind of seems like one of those situations where you're gonna see Serena Deeb retain. I'm gonna go
Mm,
out on a limb and pick Riho here. I think AEW would benefit from borrowing Serena Deeb for a little while,
yeah,
because I think she would be a boss ass first challenger for Britt Baker. Um,
yeah,
which I guess
yeah.
I'm giving away my prediction later on, but I think she would be a top tier, get a, couple of dynamite matches and then a rubber match at the next pay-per-view. Um,
Hmm.
so I'm gonna pick Riho. And then, you'll see I mean, the title gets defended on Dynamite more often than anything else. So it's not like Riho's going anywhere.
Yeah, I think I still feel like Serena Deeb's going to retain, just because I feel like that's what um, man Smashing Pumpkins guy wants. I think he wants that more than anything to keep Serena Deeb, and I wouldn't blame him. I think he would like Riho. I think he would do some stuff, but I think he can do something better with with Serena Deeb at the moment, where he's kind of trying to restart NWA's operations on his side. So because they've got like a pay per view and stuff coming up too. So um,
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I'm kind of teetering on this. It's one of the few matches that I'm teetering on, but we can go ahead and we'll sort of jump into the Casino Battle Royal because the way I feel about that one, I think has it plays into how I think this one's going to go and Riho taking the belt and them kind of swapping out because I think either way the if Riho wins the belt, Billy Corgan can do the rematch at NWA's pay per view, which I
yeah,
love. The idea of them kind of helping NWA get going again. Um, but yeah, let's jump into this 21 man battle royal, um, because I've picked an NWA talent as my Joker here,
oh, who
and
is it?
I don't normally put this much thought into the casino battle royals. Um, I am picking Nick Aldis to be the Joker and to win the casino
Wow,
battle royal. I I think he's a fantastic talent. Truthfully, I think it's a little weird that somebody that's as good as him is still only in NWA.
yeah,
Um, he's fantastic. So I really just looking through the list. I mean, there's obviously your favorite here on most sites because I went through about a dozen of them this morning trying to find a card that wasn't 37 pages long so I could look at it all at once. Christian Cage. Everybody just assumes he's the shoe in. I don't know that he's necessarily out to jump up the card and get his shot. That's a little
right,
edge. Uh, I think he wants to keep being the guy to help put other guys over and things like that. So I mean, they could do that, but I don't necessarily know that that's the route they're going to go with it. So yeah, I'm going to go best case scenario for the Joker, Nick Aldis, and Nick Aldis to win. Worst case scenario for the Joker, I have two. The first is any guy over the age of 40 who used to wrestle in WWE. So we're gonna, worst case scenario, I think you and I already talked about it a little bit, would be somebody
Yeah.
like Bill Goldberg. No. My other worst case scenario, and it's not really a good spot for him to show up on this card anyway, is Nick Gage, mostly because he terrifies the living shit out of me. I already watched him try to murder somebody. I don't need to see that again. So yeah, there we go. I'm picking Nick Aldis to show up and to win this whole thing.
I think that's a pretty good thing. I don't really have a really good solid answer. I know Christian Cage. I'm probably actually going to go with Christian Cage as well. I would like to see that title match, even if it's maybe a little too early. But he's going to bring that. I like the slow, methodical pace that he brings to a match, and I think that'll be a good match with Kenny if he retains. My not necessarily worst case scenario, but the LOL scenario would be if the Joker is Paul White and he gets up from the announce desk to go into the ring. That I think that's a possible, and which also fits your also worst case guy over 40 that used to wrestle for the WWE. So like I think that's a weird distinct possibility if AEW's lost their mind. So hopefully that's not the case.
What truly sucks there is that I have enough, it's deeply rooted, my love for Captain Insano. So
Yeah.
I honestly wouldn't be as upset if that was how they did it. If that's what they do, he's not going to be in the match long. He may eliminate like one dude, and then 8 of the other guys are going to eliminate him. It's going to be one of those kind of things. So I don't want to see it, but at the same time, it wouldn't upset me to at least let him do something. Just I feel like he's earned it, so I'm okay with that.
Let's do a quick one next. Cody Rhodes versus Anthony Gogo. Who you got?
I don't care.
I'm going to say
that's the best answer I can give you.
Because you try to chase Cody Rhodes down outside of TGI Fridays, whatever. I think I'm going to go with Cody Rhodes for you. I'm going to pick for you. Cody Rhodes is going to win. He always wins. It's kind of like the Lowell Cena thing from the 2000s.
When they added the Revolutionary War element here, they pretty much solidified that Cody was getting another win.
Yeah.
And until they give Anthony Ogogo a new finishing move, I don't care. I don't want to see him win anything. I want to watch the factory crumble and burn and disappear into the bowels of dark evolution. I kind of want that anyway, but they don't do it for me. Gogo doesn't. I think he's great on the mic. I don't care once he's between the ropes. Doesn't matter to me.
How about Adam Hangman Page versus Brian Cage, with Christian Cage and Ethan Page as seconds? I wish, but that's not the case. Actually,
put them both on commentary. So I put Ethan Page on commentary just all the time. But I think I don't know. Honestly, this may be the hardest one to pick. I love Brian Cage. I think there's so much they could do with him, and he's kind of getting squandered a little. Right now he's sitting in that spot where I've had Lance Archer for a while. Like, why is this guy not getting any real momentum? He's awesome. Brian Cage has the look where he'd be on Hell in a Cell challenging Bobby Lashley like 2 weeks in the company. I think the win goes to Hangman. I think they're steadily trying to work Hangman back up the card. But
And now with
it wouldn't
crowds
upset
back,
me either way. Yeah.
they're eventually going to hit Omega versus Page sooner than later, probably all out. So I think that'd be a good spot. But I think maybe Brian Cage, a loss here might put a further rift between him and Team Taz, which might, seems like it's been coming for a while. So I think that's kind of where they would go with that. But I do think Brian Cage definitely needs a win. Not on dark elevation. He needs one on actual Dynamite. Kind of going forward.
I think he needs a pay-per-view win.
Yeah.
I mean, Lance Archer had gotten some pay-per-view wins. They were all like low card, doesn't matter matches, but Brian Cage really hadn't gotten a whole lot, and it's upsetting.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he got hurt coming in, and then his showing in that Casino Battle Royal was nothing special.
Yeah.
So it'd be I'd actually I don't know. I know Hangman is going to be their like straightforward their babyface guy for a while. But I think he could recover more from a loss than Brian Cage can.
Yeah. Sting and Darby Allin versus Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. For me, it's got to be Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. You got to set these guys up for a big win against Sting and a legend and Darby Allin. It doesn't do as much for Sting and Darby to walk away as a winner from this.
It really doesn't, and Darby isn't going to take anything to his career taking a loss here.
Yeah.
It's weird to approach. I mean, it's been nothing but WWE for so long. I approach everything from that like this is how they book crap. I don't think this match actually happens. I think this is one of those where like Darby gets jumped in the back, and they tell Sting that he can't do it. He can't go by himself, and it's going to be one of those like stupid.
Is this just because
things.
You think the card is too long, and it's just more your secret wish?
The card is excessively long. I think that like you said, Sting is a legend. I hold him in such a regard that I don't want to see him Undertaker himself.
Yeah.
And I have a deeply rooted fear that that could happen. If this match does go down, I think it's pretty quick. I think Sting gets like double teamed and taken out. And he's laying on the side, and then Darby just gets mauled.
Only the way that Darby can.
Yeah, thrown in a body bag and tossed into a volcano, and somehow he's still alive. I have this horrible fear that we're going to get a Saudi Arabia match out of Sting, and it's going to break my heart. And I really don't want to see it. So I go into everything they do with Sting at this point with like a horrible fear. So it's less that I'm hoping to get the match off the card, and more find some subtle way to like get around having to have an actual Sting match. Just so I don't have to spend the whole time nervous that, and I'm going to be nervous that if he takes any bump at all, that like he's just done. Because I like his character. I don't really know where they're going with it, but I kind of like this whole idea of Sting and Darby Allin getting so much support from the Dark Order. I could see Sting stepping in as kind of an exalted one role. And it's not like Darby Allin needs the rub anymore.
He had a pretty good run with that title.
Legend, you put the legend with the Dark Order, and I mean, nobody can replace Brody Lee, but at least Sting's got the cred that it could be, he can help kind of give the rub to a few of those guys because they need it. There's a ton of talent in that group. So
I maybe just give him a different name too, just to keep Brody Lee from that whole thing. So
Yeah.
Let's hit up the Inner Circle versus the Pinnacle real quick. Our last non-title match here. Do you think the Inner Circle is still going to exist on come Monday?
I don't know. The way they took those pile drivers at the end of this one, it's another one of those where I don't really know what the point in that big bump to close out Dynamite was, unless somebody's hurt or something, or the injuries sustained there are going to play into the finish here.
Yeah.
I I don't really mind either way. I do have an incredibly wild finish for this though, like that I've concocted in my head because both teams kept saying we are the best faction in professional wrestling. We all know that currently best faction in professional wrestling is still Bullet Club. Like even though they don't have the name recognition for most of those guys that they used to, like I think this is some foreshadowing for some Forbidden Door stuff. And I've got Switchblade and Tama Tonga and some of the Bullet Club guys showing up in the middle of this thing, and that's going to be our unique in-house experience to close out Double or Nothing. I think Bullet Club is going to show up, wreck ass, and that's how the show's going to end.
Yeah, I guess it depends on if any of the Bullet Club guys are really needed for their big show on Monday, which technically is pretty much happening at the same time with time zones and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be awesome. As far as I know, it's just Shingo and Okada, which puts them out of showing up at Double or Nothing. Neither one of them are going to be the jokers for that, but yeah, that'd be awesome. I think the Inner Circle. I think the Pinnacle has to win, and I think that just means something new. And I think it's wrestling, so I don't think Inner Circle's gone forever. Just they're gone for now. And Chris Jericho goes on his tour.
Too. Jericho needs to tour. I wouldn't mind just getting Jericho off TV for a while.
Yeah.
And as stacked as the roster is at AEW, he takes up a lot of TV time. Everybody else cuts like 45-second promos. He gets like 15-minute. It wouldn't hurt to get him off TV just for a bit. Let him go on his tour, break up the Inner Circle, let MJF have his moment in the sun as like the winners. I think the only reason I don't imagine they're going that way is Jericho's pride, and Pinnacle got the blood and guts win.
Right.
So I imagine that we're going to get an Inner Circle Stadium Stampede win and then some kind of rubber match. So I don't know what that'll be, and it sounds terrifying to think about. But
they're going to try again with the exploding barbed wire death match somehow. So even though they're going to have a stadium full of people now,
they're accidentally nuke the stadium.
Let's go on our first title match here. We'll do the multi-man match, the Young Bucks versus John Moxley and Eddie Kingston. I feel like Young Bucks are going to retain, but it's going to be real tough. And Moxley and Eddie are going to put the hurt on them.
I mean, that's pretty much how this has to go. I don't see Kenny Omega dropping his belt. So unless he is going to part ways with the Young Bucks because they're losers, I don't imagine they're going to drop their belts anytime soon. The Elite are going to hold those for at least until All Out. So as much as I think it would be awesome to get Mox and Kingston tag champion promos, the Bucks are not dropping those belts.
Yeah, I think so. How about Miro versus Lance Archer? We're kind of speeding through the rest of this here. I think Miro retains, but it's going to be a real tough fight. Lance does need a win though, so I don't know. But I mean, Miro just got that belt too, so it's also. I could see Miro retaining and them doing a rematch like pretty quickly, like on a big Dynamite.
I'm gonna go with Lance Archer. I think that losing the belt could further break Miro, like because he's already starting to snap, go insane. He jumped Kip Sabian. Um, I think that it could further his descent into madness, to the point where he just starts attacking everybody and ends up in a world championship match. Um, I think Lance Archer needs it. And let's have fun with it. I want him to throw a python at Miro. Um, let's make use of Jake the Snake here. Let's have and again, we'll go back to the 19 Randy Savage documentaries I've watched. Let's get the King Cobra back out. But
My favorite thing about Jake the Snake
Lance Archer
is just when he would chase Andre the Giant around with that snake. Like Andre would just nope out and just leave. Like anytime Andre eliminated himself from the from one of the first Royal Rumbles because Jake brought out that snake. It was like, nope, I'm just like eliminated himself, both feet to the ground. Oh man. Well, that brings us to let's go to the men's title match first. Let's have Kenny Omega versus Orange Cassie versus Pock, which kind of feels like the weirdest throwaway championship match to me. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think I'll have a good time watching it. But I don't think there's any universe where Kenny Omega doesn't walk out with a championship. Because also remember, it's triple threat rules.
Yeah, I can say with 100% certainty, Orange Cassidy will not win because he stood tall at the end of that segment and he picked up the belt. So those are the two foreshadowing signs that you will not win at the pay-per-view. He cursed himself. Orange Cassidy will not be world champ. If anybody was going to take the belt from Kenny, Pock is believable, but it ain't gonna happen. Triple threat rules. You're gonna see every good brother under the sun. So I don't. There's no world where Kenny Omega drops this belt. This match, like you said, it got tossed together. It hasn't had much build at all, which is sort of sad because both of these guys could definitely build to a pretty great match with Kenny. I think.
I think there was more plans.
Kenny's cutting promos while Orange Cassidy just stands there and takes it. I'm good with that, but
I had a feeling there was a little bit more planned to build this, but then that Orange Cassidy Pac match kind of put everything a little bit on hold, and then they are going to go through with it, but it looked a little dicey there for a moment. So I think they didn't maybe follow through in the way they were planning on doing it. But yeah, like Pac is believable, and I would definitely like to see him get some actual wins. If nothing else, create a 6-man like trios championship, type thing, and get Pac, Phoenix, and Penta some gold for something. I don't know. You got to do something, especially if the Forbidden Door. If the Forbidden Door is open, just have the never open weight thing that everyone thinks is a little extra on New Japan anyway. Those belts, just have those be defended on Dynamite.
Yeah. So I imagine that this one's going to break down. I hate that everything has to be approached with terrible booking mindsets, but I mean, this is going to break down. It's going to eventually look like a 9-man tag match with Death Triangle and Best Friends and Orange Cassidy and Kenny and the Good Brothers all involved in this at the same time. It's going to be a mess. Don's just going to pull Kenny out of there, and they're going to like leave the building. This match isn't going to end. They're going to leave the Good Brothers to just get obliterated. But
yeah, I think the match with the most, I feel like it could go either way, is the Hikaru Shida versus Britt Baker. I think that's going to be a really good competition. I could see it working either way. I know you got Britt on your side, but I could, I'm going to take Shida. I think it could actually go either way. I wouldn't be surprised if Britt won, and I wouldn't be surprised if Shida retained either way. And I think it's going to be it could be the best match on there. The Miro Lance Archer one and this one could be the best matches on here, just because I think there is some uncertainty who could walk out the winner here.
Yeah,
and that's the best hype.
That NWA women's match is going to set the bar for the whole night. I got a feeling it's going to be it's going to be sneaky good, like in the running for best match of the night. But I'm with you. I think that this has been the best built match of anything on this card. I mean, there's Inner Circle Pinnacle, but like that's just been going for frickin' ever. It's not necessarily that the build's been that good; it just has continued to go. This one has been the best built. Britt Baker suffering that last loss to Thunder Rosa and having to like climb the hill back up the rankings was great. All her promo work has been wonderful, but like you said, it could go either way because they gave Shida the belt in their first show with no crowd. She has never gotten the big win pop. And having carried this thing, I find it a little weird. She's only defended that belt 8 times in a year. I mean, she's almost on like Brock Lesnar level.
Well, so part of that, I don't know if you remember early on in the pandemic, there were barely any women there for the first few months. Like it was like her and then Britt was, I think, injured at the time, right? Like she was still like injured because she was passing the notes back to Tony. Yeah. Like, so there were only a very few women. It was only really when they started that partnership with NWA with Billy Corgan they started getting some of those NWA women in, like Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb and all that, like that we actually got a little bit more regular women's presence on Dynamite. So yeah, it's believable. And I feel like probably if you look at it, more of her defenses have probably been on the latter half.
Yeah.
So,
well, then the more I got to thinking about it, with the exception of the TNT title, all of their title belts don't get defended much at all.
No. It's kind of like New Japan.
The TNT, it's their workhorse belt, but I don't know. I like title matches. I guess if you overload title matches, you get to the point where like nobody earns anything, but I don't know. It was a weird thing to pop up on the screen that she had only defended it 8 times because and I guess most of the matches just weren't title matches because I know she's wrestled like a shitload in the last year. So I think that's what caught me off guard more than anything was that most of those matches weren't for the belt. I think I thought they were. But.
Well, I think that brings us to the end of the card. We're actually going to be there on Sunday, and I think we're going to actually try to, if it's not like 4:00 in the morning, by the time we get back, we're actually going to do a podcast like right after we get back. It's really, we're not even going to sleep in that hotel room. We're just going to like do a podcast and then get in the car, right back in the car.
Yeah. It's somewhere where I can change before we get in the
car. But it's gonna be a great time, and it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good and weird to be back in the crowd, and it'll be fun. One last note: there's all this weird stuff that seems to like it devolved back into just really that Daniel Bryan wanted to wrestle for New Japan, but the whole rumor about WWE wanting to be the exclusive partner for New Japan and then being in talks at least led to a bizarre Tony Khan Impact Tony promo. That you should check out. We'll link to it on the show notes. It's pretty fantastic, I think. but
It's a
good.
little. I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to think Tony Khan is the one leaking these rumors, and they're not even real. Um, I think he's got Daniel Bryan locked down, and he's just trying to like stir the pot a lot. Um, because yeah,
Play
that
Meltzer because he knows he
the,
has Meltzer in his pocket.
yeah,
So
the idea that the only sticking point to some sort of deal with WWE for New Japan is Daniel Bryan. I mean, I love the guy, but he's aging, and like he's already said he wants to be a part timer and stuff. Like, plus his contract ended. Why the fuck do you need an exclusive with WWE for a guy with no contract?
yeah.
Just sign the motherfucker. Um, like it's so weird. So none of it really lines up for me, especially with Tony Forbidden Door Khan out here cutting these promos. I think he's making all this shit up. He's feeding it to Meltzer, and and like they're just having a field day laughing about this because they know it's not real.
Yeah.
No, yeah, but
Well,
I will. I'm gonna plug the Drew McIntyre story. I actually read it.
pull a
I
little bit
didn't
a
know
little
a lot
closer
of
because
it.
the YouTube's gonna crop it. Oh no, to the center because YouTube's gonna crop us in the center. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's not a bad read. It gets going a little slow, and I mean, everybody knows he ran through some issues with the substance abuse, and it cost him a lot. But you know, bootstraps and all that. I didn't realize that he lost his mom right before
Oh
he
wow.
lost his job too.
Mm.
And if you if you don't want to read the book, I also ended up I had an Audible credit and I was in the car a lot last week, so I listened to a chunk of it, including the part where his mom dies and he cries,
Mm.
reading his own book. It's a little rough in the car by yourself. Um, so but either way, it's a good read. It's a good listen. He does do his own audiobook through Audible. Um, but yeah, I recommend it. It felt really triumphant, even though at the end he wins the belt in front of no one.
Mm.
And in real time, he watched himself win the belt at home on his own couch. Just like
Oh
we
yeah, because
did.
they.
He filmed that like a yeah, he filmed it like a
Yeah.
week in advance. So he's just sitting at home on his couch watching himself win the world title. It was a little
uh,
funny to listen to him recap, but
oh.
yeah, I mean it's really weird too. He promotes a ton of like indie companies throughout.
Mm.
Um, so it's weird that they paid for some of the publishing on it and still let him do that. But yeah, it's a good read. Recommend it.
Yeah. Nice. Well, just like Double or Nothing, this podcast is much longer than it should be. So we're going to bring it to a close. We'll see you in a couple days. Out of here.